Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Oahu, Hawaii, it's time for Oahu Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Oahu Business Radio, and this is going to be a good one. But before we get started, it's important to recognize our sponsor, Facility AXS. Without their support, we could not be producing these shows. Today on Oahu Business Radio, we have Genevieve Wasson with 101 Financial. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, I'm excited to learn what you're up to. Tell us a little bit about 101 Financial. How are you serving folks?
I help individuals realize their financial potential by teaching them how to rapidly eliminate their debts and acquire assets so they can live the life they dream of. So I work with adults 18 to whatever age they want to. And I call myself like a personal coach. I will be with them every step of the way until they have financial peace of mind.
So how did you kind of come to the realization that you can help people through getting out of debt? Did you have challenges yourself, or is this something that came to you as a business opportunity? How did you get involved in helping people get out of debt and building their credit?
Well, for me, growing up, I saw my parents. So I knew what to do with my money. And so that's the first thing I told my husband when he came and said, "Oh, Jen, I have a solution to our financial problem." I'm like, you know what? You need to know that. I already know. So you go and figure it out. But because my husband and I were too busy working 3 jobs to just make ends meet, you know how Hawaii is so expensive. So we never took the time to discuss our finances. We're too busy. But then I thought my children, and when we did talk about our finances, we would argue. But then I told myself, you know what? Our children are going to be teenagers now. I need to change. We need to set the examples for them. So I humbled myself. And when my husband was asking me these numbers to fill out the financial analysis that he was given by an instructor, I was like, okay, but it took us 6 months to do that.
Wow.
I was like, I was in denial. And when I did fill it out, I told my instructor, you know what, if you get my husband and I to sit down together and discuss our finances, I'll be your best referral source. And you know what, now I'm doing it as a living. So
for you, so you kind of thought, maybe you thought you knew some things, but then you said it took a little bit of humility to say, you know what, maybe I don't know everything. And then you got the education, and now you feel qualified to help other people get their financial house in order?
Oh, yes. After we got it, there's 3 classes. Our first class was the 99, and 99 class is where we teach our students how to know exactly what comes in as their income and what goes out as their debt. And we just get them organized. And that's what it did with our first class. When we did that, we realized that if we stuck to this budget, we would have 1,800 positive cash flow. And we're like, wow, really? Because we had a rental. So my husband always taught we had positive cash flow. But you know what? When you and your husband, when you don't sit down with your spouse to look at your finances and look at your budget, your money is like water through your fingers because you have no idea where it's going and coming from. Mm-hmm. So when we did that, and when I saw that if we just sit down and did what we, follow what we planned, we would have positive cash flow of 18. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to do that. And I made it work. And again, I had to follow the budget first and have my husband give me a portion of his paycheck, because at first he didn't, because he thought we were making it. Mm-hmm. He thought we have a rental. He had a good job. He's a police officer. I worked for the government. Little did he know that we were, we're just making it. But when we sat down and looked at our finances, we're like, whoa, that's where all our money is going. But if we stuck to this budget, then we would be making that. And we did it. And we stuck to the 99 program for 3 months. After 3 months, we graduated to the 101, where we learned about smart banking, because it does matter where your money sits at night, because interest does not sleep.
Now, that's a great point that you make about the communication, right? Because a lot of people think they're on the same page, but in actuality, they're not on the same page. They could be doing some things that are counterproductive for what their goals are. Yes. And you talk about budgeting. Budgeting is really prioritizing, right? You're saying that this is now important, so I'm going to put this money in this pile instead of that pile. Do you help people with budgeting?
Yes, that's the first class. That's the 99 class. People have to either have a budget to make the system work, or they have to work hard to have that positive cash flow. So there's no secret to it. It's the positive cash flow is what they need to have. And when you do it, when you do sit down and have a budget with your spouse, you'll realize what your positive cash flow would be if you work together.
So now, how do you go about making a budget? Because for some people, they've never had a budget in their life.
That's where we sit down with our students, and we fill out a sheet called financial analysis, where it tells you exactly how much comes in and where is your money going. So that's where I come in. I coach them along the way, because sitting down and looking at a budget is very hard, especially when people are so busy just working. And so I'm there to hold them accountable for what they're going to write down.
Now, where do you see people kind of spending money where they're not kind of realizing how much money is going? Food, really?
Food. Mm-hmm.
Is
food
it
and things that they don't need? It's their wants. Mm-hmm.
Really? So it's things that, like, are they just not noticing that? Hey, I eat a lot of pizza. I'm going out for pizza a lot. You know?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Starbucks, they don't realize it. $5 times 5 comes up to 25 a week. Times that by 5.
Right. So that adds up. I mean, it's these little things. It sounds silly by itself, like $5, but $5, like you said, times 5 times 52 is lots of money.
Exactly. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And that's how they can cut it. Like when they see that in front of them, they're like, oh my gosh, really? I'm like, yeah, that's where your money is going. A lot of it is a lot of food, especially here in Hawaii.
Right. Well, you mentioned that earlier, like Hawaii is expensive in a lot of areas. So if you're not paying attention to the little stuff, it turns into big stuff pretty quickly.
Yep.
Now, do you also help with kind of building credit? Like some of these folks might have some challenges with their credit.
Yes, by having a budget, paying things on time, getting organized, you're not going to be late on your payments of what you need to pay. So right there, automatically, your credit score will increase.
And then it sounds like it's almost like if you do the budget part right, then all the other dominoes kind of fall into place, right? Like the credit gets better, you start eliminating some debt.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start kind of leveraging some of the benefits of compounding, because that's really where the magic is, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So now for you in this journey, what's been the most rewarding part of the job?
Watching people get out of debt, and especially, the most rewarding thing is my children. Just being the best example I can to them. And given that, my daughter, told me I don't want to pay for my college, and so she got scholarships.
And that's like, I mean, people don't understand, but that's a big deal. If you get scholarships, not only are you not paying for that today, you're also not paying for it for 5, 10, 20 years down the road of loans and stuff to pay back.
Exactly. Yep. And, for them, just to watch them, like my 13-year-old and 17-year-old, they're doing stocks already at their age.
Wow.
Ooh, and again, it's the example that I have set. So that's priceless. And that I just want to play it forward with people.
Now, when you got into this, did you realize that the impact that you would be making on folks?
Oh, no, not at all. Not even in the impact of my own marriage. I saved our marriage. I saved our marriage. And that's why I'm just so passionate about it. But again, when they get into this system, they have to be ready too, because they have to be disciplined. Because and willing to learn new things, because what I'm going to tell them, they have to trust me. So again, with my students, I have to build that trust with them. And I know it's hard because it's like stripping down naked, going, look at me, look at me, look at my, my negative things that I've been doing. Mm-hmm. So it's a hard subject to discuss, especially during this time of the pandemic. A lot of people lost their job. So
So that's really it's tough because they feel like I don't have enough money anyway. So how is this going to help me get more money? Because you're not creating money out of thin air, but you're helping them just manage what they have. And if they do that right, as they get more money, it'll be just used better.
Yep. I have a mom that I just worked with. She's single in unemployment, and she made it work for her. And now she's my newest instructor. So I said, your story is so powerful. I need you to teach this with me.
And because this is just, you just don't learn this unless you seek out this kind of information. This is so important and foundational for everybody, no matter how much money they have or don't have.
Exactly. Yes. But again, what is your goal in life? That's my first question. What is your goal? Is it to just pay off or just get a budget? You know what I mean? So it's different. So it's all for different types of life. I just don't work with one type of student or one type of lifestyle.
Now, are you finding that like what happened to you, like once you learn this, then you pass this information on to your kids? Are you finding that some of the students that you've taught are doing the same thing, that they're kind of being better role models for their children?
I wish, I hope. Yeah. I mean, that's all. You doing well in your finances, you can only be teaching positive to your children. Mm-hmm.
Right. And you're role modeling this behavior. The kid can't help but know that, hey, this is a better way of doing this. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And nowadays, people frown on credit cards. But again, we got to use it correctly, because we need credit to buy things, to buy our first car, to buy our first home. So it is very important to learn what is the proper way to use your credit card.
Right. And have that work for you instead of working against you.
Exactly. Yep.
So now when you're working with someone, are you working with them one-on-one? Do you do it in groups? Do you do it?
I do it with one-on-one.
One-on-one?
One-on-one. Yes. Their finances is too personal.
So it's personal. So you're getting into their exact situation and you're helping them get their act together when it comes to their financial health.
Yes.
And then if somebody wants to learn more and have a substantive conversation, if they're tired of being on this treadmill of not having enough money or being in debt or having bad credit and they want to fix all that, what's the best way to get a hold of you or somebody on your team?
I can send them my business card, but again, they can go into my website. It's instructors.101financial /GH Wasson.
And that's Wasson, Wasson, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I'll forward you my information.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story today. You're doing such important work, and we appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
All right. This is Lee Cantor. We will see you all next time on Oahu Business Radio.